The chair calls, is Richard Womack still with us? Yep, please join us there. And then I'm going to go, is there anybody else wishing to testify on for or against House Bill, I'm sorry, House Bill 594? We had called a few earlier, and they weren't here, so I have to ask that. Okay, if you would, state your name for the record, who you're with. Yes. Oh, do you mind? I just wanted to apologize to my constituent and precinct chair, Ann Lee, for missing her testimony.
I missed you.
I apologize.
I noticed you were not here.
I know today is my 3rd wedding anniversary, and it was the only time that my husband and I got to speak today was for that. So I'm very, I do want to apologize. Thank you.
Anniversary, May 1st.
Okay. Yeah. Before you get started, is Shine Weldon with us still? Okay, great. So we'll have her for the bill, not testify. Right. If you would state your name for the record, who you're with, and your position on the bill.
My name is Richard Womack, and I'm testifying for myself. I'm a disabled veteran, a single parent of 3, and a supporter of this bill. I'm just going to read my statement in the interest of time. I support this bill.
And you're also representing NORML, right? We have it down.
I'm a member of NORML, and we can leave that if you want.
Yeah, that'd be great. Okay, keep going.
Very good. I support this bill as a disabled veteran who suffers from chronic, permanent health issues, which science has shown can be safely and effectively treated through the use of medical cannabis. On behalf of other veterans, I urge you to support the House Bill 594 and enable Texas physicians to more fully advise on complicated issues surrounding patient quality of life issues like this, because sometimes these issues, if unresolved, can and do lead to distressed, destroyed lives, even suicide, which is quite the silent epidemic where I live near Killeen in Fort Hood, Texas. The louder epidemic is Fridays and Saturday nights where countless soldiers attempt to drink themselves to death to make things go away, but they don't. I also support this bill as a voice for my 3 children who have seen the carnage brought about by treatment-resistant illnesses such as depression, post-traumatic stress disorder, and neuropathic illness. On their behalf, I also ask you to support this reasonable step toward more responsible public health and social policy. I want my children to live in a world where medical doctors are free to acknowledge the very possibility that cannabis, at least for some, can be a cornucopia of what I would call a divine cure capable of treating the untreatable. And it's fairly safe to say that we should not arrest patients simply for engaging in a victimless act of civil disobedience aimed at avoiding needless suffering that can be resolved naturally. Finally, I want to say that I'm about as unlikely a supporter for House Bill 594 as you're ever going to find. Besides being a former Reagan Republican and adherent to the Just Say No doctrine, I'm also a former Air Force Mission Support Officer who for 3 years lived and worked in Latin America, and I am proud to say I supported counter-drug operations with names like Steady State, Green Clover, and Laser Strike, among others. And yet, I am here before you today to testify that almost everything, and I want to underline everything, that I was ever taught about a little green plant called cannabis is utter and complete balderdash. And so, I'm going to finish up with a story here. Have anyone ever heard of an emergency intervention? You know, people that have, a drug problem and such. Well, I went through one of those about 4 years ago. I got cornered in the living room on the couch of a wonderful friend who was a retired educator who was personally recognized by Ronald Reagan and one of her friends. And I was the focus of their intervention. And the reason they were intervening is because they wanted me to stop taking all of the medicines that the VA was sending me, because I was taking them religiously. And they really got tired of not being able to communicate with me or have any kind of relationship with me, or the fact that the same thing was happening with my children. And after much struggling and soul searching, I agreed to try an alternative approach to handling some of the issues I just shared with you. And about 5 minutes into the experiment, I turned to one of the friends, and I said, "We got to tell somebody about this stuff." And I wanted to let you know that I reacquired the will to live. I reacquired the ability to smile in a genuine way. And can't say that everything's perfect, and a lot of times, things are on a day-to-day basis, but I can assure you this one thing. Ever since that day, the thought of taking a handgun and blowing the back of my head off has not entered my mind, not even once. So, I urge you to support this bill, and it is a vote for compassion. Thank you for the time to give my statement.
Thank you, Mr. Womack. Thank you for your service to our country, and thank you for your testimony tonight. It's taken to heart. Members, any questions?